This is a message from your guides reading for the Andromedan star being. There we go. Both of the names in one. I'm just going to say it like that from now on. Okay, so as maybe you saw, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but I have my Shadowkite here, so I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some protective space for this reading. Okay, so you have a snake totem coming in. I'm not gonna, look that up or go into that right now since we only have a few minutes for the reading. But you do have a snake totem coming in. And I feel like also a butterfly totem, I want to say. And then I'm also feeling the color yellow. I'm seeing like a bird, but I keep getting the color yellow. There's something to do with a reading. Oh geez, one of the email readings that you ordered a long time ago. I do not remember this. They are totally reminding me of this out of nowhere, which I never would have thought of. This bird thing, it isn't exactly a totem. This has to do with some reference to something that your guides were talking about a long time ago in one of your email readings, and they were saying something about birds. I don't even know how they're reminding me of this. Okay, it was something about a bird in a nest, and that you are young, and something to do with classes. I think it was having to do with classes, and guides are totally flashing on my wall. Having to do with classes and kind of not knowing where to put yourself. And they were saying something about how you're young and that's okay, and you're like a bird and you're flying out of the nest or something, and it's okay if you explore some different nests for a while, or it was something like that. But anyway, I'm sure you know what reference I'm speaking about, so you can look at that email, I guess, if you want or need to. But so the bird has something to do with that, and I'm really getting the color yellow, but yellow has to do with the solar plexus chakra. It's also just a really bright, like sunny, very clear color. Like the Sun card in Tarot, this is a really positive, really uplifting card. Has to do with a lot of positive changes, and things becoming more grounded, more centered, more clear. I'm going to go ahead and show you my other crystals here that I have too. So I have my rose quartz this week, and then I have my Mookite Jasper. I've had this for all of the Patreon readings. So that's kind of a group crystal this week. I don't normally have one of those. I don't know if I've ever had one of those, but I do this week. Okay, so it feels like your solar plexus is really expanding. So that really feels like this very fiery kind of energy. Like something is really getting going. Like there's an energy that's really stirring and becoming more alive. So your solar plexus has a lot to do with, just feeling alive, feeling more invigorated, more enlightened, more clear, more heightened. In kind of every sense. It's mentally, it's emotionally, but it's also definitely very much physically as well. And in terms of career, your solar plexus definitely has a lot to do with your career, because it has a lot to do with your ambition and your willpower and setting things physically in motion. So like it has to do with goal setting and completing things, manifesting. Um, and that's really the chakra where things start to manifest, because it's these lower chakras that are more the manifesting ones. These three lower ones, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root, obviously, especially, but it really starts generating in the solar plexus. Whereas these others, they more have to do with desires, things you want to manifest, like your crown and your third eye. This is more mental. So like what you're envisioning, and especially with the crown, what you're receiving from your guides, and then your third eye, what you're receiving with your own intuition, and also just what you're mentally wanting and putting out. Then the throat does have some manifesting in it because it has to do with your willpower, but it's still more about manifesting it down. But this is a more physical chakra because it has to do with speaking. It's your vocal cords, so it does put energy out there, but still it helps it to pass down more into manifestation where these other lower chakras are. And then you have the heart chakra. So this is about your emotions, the things that kind of pull you and drive you, what your desires are, and what you would want, what you would desire in an emotional way versus in a mental sense, like what you're focusing on or envisioning and goals and things like that. It feels more emotional, so what tugs at you and draws you. But it's really the solar plexus, once we come down to that chakra, that's where things really start manifesting and taking root, where you start to really see them manifesting in a more physical way. So it feels like this chakra is definitely expanding. It feels like it's releasing a lot of old stuff, a lot of toxicity, and programmings. And why do I want to say paradigms? And so it just feels like your guides are clearing a lot. And again, with your finances. But it feels like this is happening because of all the focus that you have, where you know what you want to do. And I feel like that was almost this reference to this old reading. It's almost like that isn't happening anymore. So it feels like that little bird did all that it's going to do. It created all the confusion and being young in that kind of way, that it's going to do. It feels like now it's more settled in the right nest. And yeah, it feels like you have more direction. You have more of a clear, a clear vision of what you want. Keep wanting to say envision, so this is coming out in such a weird way. I still feel like I want to say envision for some reason. Okay, because it feels like this is like a continued process. So it's still what you are envisioning. So it's not only a past thing, like what you have been visioning and what you did envision before. It feels like what you're currently investing in and what you're currently looking to manifest. So what you're envisioning currently, but it feels like you know what that is. It feels like you know what that is going to look like. You have more of a clear picture of it, even if it changes in certain ways to certain degrees. It still feels like you have a clearer understanding of it, and you have a clearer approach as far as how to reach those goals, how to make them manifest, how to make your desires manifest into fulfillment, it feels like. So this is why your solar plexus is really expanding and growing, and you are achieving more of this clarity. And I also feel like you're in the process of kind of relaxing into a kind of system where you're getting a lot more done. I still feel like that is kind of in flux, like you're still kind of figuring that out a little bit. But I definitely feel like the potential is there to get much clearer on that. So almost like the kind of grounding work is there. And it feels almost like just feeding this fire almost. It feels like your business is like now this fire that you almost, it's like just feeding this fire where it doesn't die down. And it feels like, I feel like the reason they're saying that is because before you would have these passions and it feels like they would just die down and they would go away. But it feels like now you have this fire and it's strong. It feels like you can keep on feeding it and nurturing it. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna, die down and go away. It feels like it's there in a more solid way. Okay, so that is the end of this reading. Thank you very much for allowing me to connect to your guides, and I will see you next week for the next one. Namaste.